Hare Krishna. We'll start with the invocation prayers. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vachakalpatarupascha Kipasindhu Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. We welcome devotees from other batches also for our this endeavor to start revising Bhagavad Gita, 2 chapters every week, as well as we anyway welcome all the devotees. So the process that we will follow is that we will first read chapter translations. So chapter 1 translations only we will read, and then devotees will do their presentations for each chapter in about 10 minutes. So today Pragya is going to do chapter 1. So we'll first read translations for chapter 1. Then Pragya will do the presentation for chapter 1 in about 10 minutes or so. And then I will also do Bhagavad Gita chapter 1 presentation. And then we will pause for questions, comments, realizations. And we'll follow the same process for chapter 2 as well. Today, I will also answer inquiries submitted by batch 3 and 4 devotees from the previous class. Going forward, you will just inquire at the class. I'm not going to set up a Google form for that. And you can decide whether you want me to send you Prabhupada lecture after every class. But anyway, irrespective of sending Prabhupada lectures, everyone should come prepared for the chapters that we'll be discussing. So next week we'll be discussing chapters 3 and 4. So everyone should come prepared because this is a revision for everyone. For best results, everyone should come prepared, not just the presenters. So of course it's a revision for all. And another reason is that for whatever reason, if a presenter is not able to do the presentation or not able to join the presentation, then any one of you can try to do the presentation in a spontaneous manner. Of course, if some of these scheduled presenters know that they will not be able to virtually attend the class, then they can always do the recording and I can play the recording, either audio or video. Now, the devotees from other batches, you can also consider down the line to do the presentation. So first you learn what is happening, and you can also consider to do the presentation because in your respective batches, these presentations will anyway be coming up later. So why we are revising is that Sanjaya has taught us in Bhagavad Gita 18.76 and 77 with the words again and again, that Sanjaya also remembered Bhagavad Gita instructions again and again to relish more and more of Bhagavad Gita and to remember Krishna more and more. Plus, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, verse 27, Arjuna has taught us the exact same point, that when Arjuna was in distress, because Krishna went back to Goloka Vrindavan, hence Arjuna simply remembered Bhagavad Gita instructions and Arjuna got pacified by association of Krishna, because Krishna is absolute. So Krishna and Krishna's words are identical. So Arjuna, simply by remembering Krishna's words, was in association of Krishna and got pacified. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.15.27 purport, it explains that Bhagavad Gita is sound representation of Krishna. One gets the same benefit from reading, remembering Bhagavad Gita, just as Arjuna got the personal presence of the Lord, just as he was benefited. So we have to keep revising Bhagavad Gita again and again, just so that it is engraved in our consciousness, so that our bottom line goal to be able to remember Krishna at the time of death becomes slightly easier. So the process for talking about any spiritual subject matters is that you start with a short invocation prayers. So all devotees will be doing the presentations. They will start with a short invocation prayers. I will give you one line invocation right now. And then start, because we are not qualified to speak. Therefore, by invocation, we are asking permission from devotees, from spiritual master, from Srila Prabhupada, and from Shri Shri Radha Krishna to be able to speak on spiritual subject matters. So the short invocation prayers that devotees should do before doing their respective presentation is requesting permission and blessings from all devotees, Srila Prabhupada, Shri Shri Radha Krishna, to be able to speak on Bhagavad Gita. And those of you who have living spiritual master, or at some point you will have, just as we have Matan Prabhu. So I will use Matan Prabhu's example. Matan Prabhu is my god brother. We have the same spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshika Das Adhikari. So I'll use Matan Prabhu as an example that what should be your invocation prayers. Basically, you add Guru Maharaj in between before Srila Prabhupada. So for Matan Prabhu, or whosoever will have a living spiritual master, your invocation will be requesting permission and blessings from all devotees, from my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshika Das Adhikari, Srila Prabhupada, Shri Shri Radha Krishna, to be able to speak on Bhagavad Gita. So the sequence of requesting permission is devotees first, then your living spiritual master, then Srila Prabhupada, and then Shri Shri Radha Krishna. So we are going in a parampara way from bottom to up. Questions, comments, realizations? All right. So Chapter 1, I will first give an overview and then we'll read section by section. So Chapter 1 overview is that Chapter 1 is titled Observing the Armies on the Battlefield. In Sanskrit, there are two names of Chapter 1. One is Sainya Nirikshan Yoga and Arjuna Vishad Yoga. Both are commonly used. Chapter 1 is divided into 4 major sections, and section 4 has further 4 subsections. So section 1 is verses 1 to 13, preparations for war. Section 2 is verses 14 to 20, signs of victory. Section 3 is verses 21 to 25. Krishna as Bhaktavatsal. Section 4 is verses 26 to 46. Arjuna's lamentation. Section 4, the four subsections are: subsection 1 is verses 26 to 30. Compassion as the reason to not fight. Subsection 2 is verses 31 to 35. Loss of enjoyment as the reason to not fight. Subsection 3 is verses 36 to 38. Fear of sinful reactions as a reason to not fight. And subsection 4 is verses 39 to 43. Destruction of family traditions. So now let's read the translations, one section at a time. Abhishek Prabhu will read verses 1 to 13 translation, and this section 1 title is Preparations for War. Abhishek Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So I will just continuously read the 13 translations.
Correct.
Okay. Text 1. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Text 2. Sanjay said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Text 3. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Text 4. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virata, and Drupada. Text 5. There are also great, heroic, powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraja, Purujita, Kunti Bhoja, and Saibya. Text 6. There are mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamoja, son of Subhadra, the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. 7. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. 8. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. 9. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Text 10. Our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. 11. All of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of interest into the phalanx of the army. 12. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhan joy. 13. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous.
Very good. Now, next section, Ritu will read translation. So, verses 14 to 20 is section 2. Title is Signs of Victory. So, 14 to 20 translations.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchayagna. Arjun blew his, the Devdat and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean task, blew his terrific conch shell called Pondra. Text 16 to 18. King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell. The Ananta Vijaya and Nakul and Sahadev blew the Sughosha and Manipushpa. That great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter, Shikhandi, Drishtadumna, Virat, the unconquerable Satyaki, Draupad, the sons of Draupadi, and the others. O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. Text 19. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. Text 20. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to the Lord Krishna these words. Text 21 to 22.
Hold on.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So now part 3 is verses 21 to 25. Title is Krishna as Bhaktavatsal. So Archana or our dear Devraj can read 21 to 25 translations.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'll read. Part 3, 21 to 25. Title is Bhaktavatsal. Verse 21 to 22. Arjuna said, "O infallible, one please draw my chariot between the two armies, so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of army." Verse 22, Sanjaya said, "O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, look, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the army of both parties." Verse 25, in the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, "Just behold, Pritha, all the Kurus assemble here." Haribol.
Now, section 4 is verses 26 to 46, Arjuna's lamentation, and there are 4 subsections. Subsection 1 is 26 to 30. Annapurni will read translations. The title is Compassion as the Reason to Not Fight.
Hare Krishna. There Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers. Text 27. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed and with compassion and spoke thus. Text 28. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up." Text 28. My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. Text 30. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon. Hare Krishna.
Now, subsection 3 is subsection 2 is verses 31 to 35. Loss of enjoyment as a reason to not fight. Dhara, 31 to 35 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 31. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. Text 32 to 35. O Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield? O Madhusudan, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and prosperities and are standing before me. Why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra?
And subsection 3 is verses 36 to 38. Fear of sinful reactions as a reason to not fight. Chaitanya Prabhu, 36 to 38 translations.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune, and how could we be happy by killing our own kinsman? 37. O Janardana, although this man, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin? 39. If the
So, hold
destruction.
on.
Yeah.
Now, from 39 onwards is subsection 4. Title is Destruction of Family Traditions. Divya will read 39 to end of the chapter translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 39. With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. Text 40. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. Text 41. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. Text 42. But the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Text 43. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Text 44. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Text 45. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Text 46. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief.
Very good. So now Pragya will do the presentation, the talk about the essence of chapter 1 in brief in about 10 minutes or so. And then I will also present, and then we'll pause for questions, comments, and realizations. Pragya.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna everybody. I will be presenting chapter 1. I'm requesting the permission and blessings from all of you, all devotees, Srila Prabhupada, and all gurus in the disciplic succession, and Sri Sri Radha Krishna. I will try and summarize Bhagavad Gita chapter 1. Please forgive me for all the shortcomings. The chapter is titled Observing the Armies of the Battlefield of Kurukshetra, or Sainya Nirikshan Yoga, or Arjun Vishad Yoga, or the Lamentation of Arjun. So the Bhagavad Gita begins with a very significant verse. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuryutsavaha mamakaha pandavaschaiva kim kurvat Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra, the blind king of Kaurav kingdom, is asking his assistant Sanjaya about the events of the Kurukshetra battlefield. Dhritarashtra doubts the possibility of his son's victory in Dharmakshetra, since in a Dharmakshetra, Dharma will be preserved, and he knows that he and his sons are not pious, whereas the Pandavas are pious. At Kurukshetra, Duryodhan is shaken on seeing the formidable military formation of the Pandavas, and he approaches Drona, his teacher and one of his key generals. Speaking to Drona, he simultaneously also addresses others nearby. He does a comparative assessment of the two armies and tries to motivate both himself and his forces. Duryodhan is an expert in speech, but his intentions are full of envy and evil. Sadly, in Kali Yuga, good speech is considered scholarly. However, good speech does not signify any spiritual advancement. The Kaurava commander Bhishma blows his conch shell to signify the starting of the war. Its loud roar gives Duryodhan joy and comfort. Other Kaurava warriors also blow their conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, etc. The army on the other side also responds. Sri Krishna makes his dramatic entry on a magnificent chariot. There are several signs of victory. The presence of Sri Krishna himself, the Hanuman flag on the chariot, the venue of Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra, the transcendental conch shells, and the Agnidev chariot. Arjun and his charioteer, Lord Krishna, both blow their conch shells, as do many other Pandava warriors. Their tumultuous roar leaves Kauravas and Duryodhana unnerved. As Arjun prepares to fight, he desires to see the armies. So he requests Lord Krishna to take his chariot between the two armies, from where he can see and examine the whole battlefield. From the central vantage point, he sees his venerable elders Bhishma and Drona, many relatives spanning several generations. In this world, generally Maya comes through eyes and Krishna comes through ears. Evidence can be in three ways: Pratyaksh Praman or direct evidence, Shabd or spoken verse, and Anuman or hypothesis. Through our eyes, we see and feel all sort of pleasures readily available around us as real. This, however, is an illusion. That Krishna is far away from us and is irrelevant is also an illusion. Pratyaksh Praman is very dangerous due to our imperfect senses. Even exalted devotees like Arjun, in presence of Krishna, became bewildered, for he relied on Pratyaksh Praman. Pratyaksh causes illusion. Shabd takes us out from illusion. When Pratyaksh or sensory perception causes illusion, we should consult Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So, contemplating the impending war against his own relatives and friends, Arjun loses his composure. With his skin burning, his mind reeling, his bow slipping from his hands, he speaks to Krishna, voicing personal and social reasons for not fighting. He gives 5 reasons for not fighting. 4 reasons are given in this chapter, and the 5th one in chapter 2. So, firstly, Arjun felt compassion for his teachers, friends, relatives, and even for the soldiers of the opposite party. The compassion was not reflecting any weakness, but it was due to his soft heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. Second, Arjun feels loss of enjoyment by killing his own kinsmen. Materially, everyone wants to satisfy their own senses, and he wants God to be the order supplier of such satisfaction. But Govinda is not meant for satisfying our senses. We need to satisfy the senses of Govinda. Then automatically our senses will be satisfied. Thirdly, Arjun also fears sinful reactions in destroying a family. But there are no bad reactions for killing aggressors whose misdeeds are so grievous. The fourth reason Arjun gives is that the war will destroy the family tradition or Kul Dharma and bring cultural ruins that will extend over several generations, and such destroyer of tradition will dwell in hell. So Arjun decides that being killed without fighting is better than killing relatives for wealth and for the dynasty. So Arjun is thinking that Kul Dharma is the only dharma, but in reality, serving Sri Krishna is the only Sanatan Dharma of all the souls. In the end of chapter 1, Arjun was overwhelmed with lamentation, and he sat down in his chariot, setting aside his bow and arrows. So the main purpose of chapter 1 is to demonstrate the need for scriptural knowledge, absence of which creates perplexities in one's lives. So Arjun's Gandiva represents the living entity's determination to serve Krishna. By Pratyaksh, we are inferring based on seeing. This eats away our determination to serve Sri Krishna. By hearing and understanding Bhagavad Gita, we will restore our determination to serve Sri Krishna. Bhagavad Gita shows the devotees' qualifications to receive this knowledge: to be humble, compassionate, soft-hearted, thoughtful, and submissive, just like Arjun was. Jai Shri Krishna. Hari Bol.
Super excellent. Any questions, comments, realizations for Pragya? All right. Pragya anyway did a spectacular presentation from before, and in theory I don't really need to do the presentation, but since we agreed, I will do the chapter 1 presentation as well. So the spirit of Bhagavad Gita is Lord Shri Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavad Gita is understood by a devotee like Arjuna, meaning somebody with submissive attitude rather than having a challenging attitude. Only by devotional service one can revive one's relationship with Krishna. Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in the spirit of devotion. The first 6 chapters talk about how karma leads to bhakti. The last 6 chapters talk about how jnana leads to bhakti. And the middle 6 chapters talk about bhakti directly. And these middle 6 chapters of 7 to 12 are the treasure of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 1 is titled Observing the Armies on Battlefield of Kurukshetra. In Sanskrit is Sainya Nirikshan Yoga or Arjuna Vishad Yoga. Verse 1, although spoken by Dhritarashtra, a materialistic person, is a very important verse. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharmakshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsava mamaka pandavas chaiva kim akurvata sanjaya. So Dhritarashtra is aware that Pandavas are pious and his sons are not, and that Kurukshetra is a holy place, will favor the pious Pandavas. Therefore, Dhritarashtra is fearing the result of war. Now, what does dharma mean? Dharma does not mean faith, because faith can change. Dharma means real characteristics. Example, water is liquid, fire burns. So liquidity is the dharma of water, burning is the dharma of fire, and serving is the dharma of soul. In my contaminated state, I am serving my body, senses, family, nation, or worst case scenario, pet, dog, or cat. In our original Swarupa in a purified stage, we serve the eternal master, Krishna. And faith is different from dharma. Faith may change from time to time, but dharma means the intrinsic characteristics cannot change. So, because I have forgotten my original Swarupa, therefore, in my contaminated state, I am serving my body, my senses, my family, my nation, or cat or dog. And in our original Swarupa, we serve eternal master Krishna. There is no third choice. Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana's non-devotee materialistic political qualities are described, and later on in chapter 1, the devotee qualities are described. Dhritarashtra was king of the world, but was helpless because of his attachments. Plus, Dhritarashtra was unfair to Pandavas. Attachment makes the powerful powerless. Because of attachments, they cannot make the right decisions. Duryodhan is expert in his speech, but has evil intentions. The example to understand this is cobra is decorated with a jewel. People go to the jewel forgetting that the cobra will bite you. Therefore, do not mistake good speech as spiritual advancement. Duryodhan is using political ability to praise others. May seem he is very expert because of his speech, but a person's caliber is determined not just by expertise of the person's speech, but by the purity of person's motives. Duryodhan's motives are filled with greed, envy, etc. And therefore, Prabhupada gives the example of cobra being decorated with a jewel, that instead of being cautious of the cobra, people go towards the jewel instead of going away. Verse 14 of chapter 1 is where Krishna makes a dramatic entry in Bhagavad Gita, seated on a magnificent chariot. Krishna is Bhaktavatsal. Krishna takes lower position of a charioteer to serve his devotee Arjuna. Various signs of victory for the Pandavas are described, such as Krishna, goddess of fortune, Hanuman, the venue, Kurukshetra, transcendental conch shells, and Agnidev's chariot. The purpose of chapter 1 is, first, to let me know the need for scriptural knowledge on how to live in this world as a soul. Otherwise, if one acts without scriptural guidance, will result in confusion, leading to wrong path, just as Arjuna used his Pratyaksha Praman, causing confusion even in the presence of Krishna. And the second purpose of chapter 1 is Arjuna's devotee qualification to receive spiritual knowledge. The word saw or seeing comes in 5 verses where Arjuna said, I want to see both sides. Now, generally in this world, Maya comes through eyes and Krishna comes through ears. Evidence is possible by, first, Pratyaksha, meaning direct evidence, which is very dangerous because of our imperfect senses. Second way of evidence is Anuman, which is hypothesis. And the third way of evidence is Shabda, means spoken words by the Lord. Pratyaksha, meaning direct evidence using our senses, is very dangerous because of imperfect senses. Through my eyes, I see and feel that the pleasures as real and available all around us, and I feel that Krishna is remote and irrelevant. Therefore, Pratyaksha Praman or direct evidence is very dangerous because of my imperfect senses. Hence, Pratyaksha Praman can drag me away from Krishna, plus further drag me deep into Maya. Even exalted devotee like Arjuna, even in the presence of Krishna, became bewildered because Arjuna relied on Pratyaksha Praman. I cannot avoid seeing. I cannot stop seeing. Therefore, what I see with my eyes, I have to connect with scriptures and act according to scriptures. Scriptures are my intelligence. Pratyaksha causes illusion and Shabda takes us out of illusion. When Pratyaksha or sensory perception causes illusion, consult with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Lastly are the qualities of a devotee. When Duryodhan saw the armies, he used political speech, but when Arjuna saw the same armies, Arjuna felt compassion even for the soldiers of the other side. In this chapter 1, Arjuna gives 4 reasons to not fight the war. First is compassion as the reason to not fight. Second, loss of enjoyment. Third, fear of sinful reaction. And fourth, destruction of family. In chapter 2, Arjuna will give the 5th reason of indecision as a reason to not fight, as well as chapter 2 onwards, Krishna answers all these points raised by Arjuna. So chapter 1 is a very important chapter, although seems like we are only observing the armies, but chapter 1 is very important chapter, and acharyas have described the purpose of chapter 1 is to demonstrate the need for spiritual knowledge. Otherwise, if I'm using my senses, I'm bound to go in illusion. And the second reason is Arjuna's qualification to receive spiritual knowledge. Chapter 1 demonstrates how worldly situations can create perplexities for those who do not have spiritual knowledge. That's a quick summary of chapter 1. Any questions, comments, realizations? Nitya.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Just a few questions. The first one I wanted to ask is, did this instructions discussion happen on day 1 of the Kurukshetra war? The second is, there are places that Arjuna refers to Lord Krishna as the infallible, the maintainer of all living entities. So he is already completely aware that Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead.
Yeah. So yes, definitely this conversation happened on day 1, just before the start of the war. I mean, for us, it takes a long time to read because of conditioning. The conversation between Krishna and Arjuna happened for about 45 minutes to 60 minutes. I understand that Arjuna is knowledgeable enough to just understand from the translations instead of going through purports. And yes, Arjuna as a pure devotee knows Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead, but there is covering of Yog Maya. So Yog Maya covers the supremacy of the Lord so that the Lord's purpose and Lord's Leela is executed. And the covering of Yog Maya is not static. It keeps moving back and forth. And so sometimes it reveals, oh, you are God. And sometimes it's covered that there so that rasa can be exchanged, just as Mother Yashoda picked up a stick to beat up Krishna. If Mother Yashoda knew that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, then she would not do it. She would go, wow, what? I cannot beat him up. Nitya, does that help?
Yes, Prabhu. So at this point, Arjuna is still fluctuating under the influence of Yogamaya. And then from Bhagavad Gita, verse 10.12 onwards, he comes into his original consciousness and he is then fixed in that consciousness.
You are correct. Pragya?
Thank you, Pragya.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I had a question I wanted to understand, that in this chapter they are saying that there is a need to get scriptural knowledge, spiritual knowledge, but then to attain that there are certain qualities of devotees that we talk about. But Prabhuji, when we are doing the book distribution or we are trying to approach non-devotees, how do we how isn't that since the persons are non-devotees, how is it that we are trying to initiate them into this scriptural knowledge, and how will they get drawn into spirituality if the devotee qualities are not there in them?
Yeah, we have discussed this down the line in Bhagavad Gita, that what comes first? Do I have to purify myself first, situate myself on spirituality, or do I just first take up these books? Like what comes first? And we have discussed that hearing comes first. So when you are doing book distribution, what you are trying to do is you are giving association of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, as well as you are also giving them prasad. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, this is described that from the 9 stages of spirituality that we go through, from Shraddha to Sadhu Sangha to Bhajana Kriya, all the way to Prema. Actually, Srimad Bhagavatam describes that even before Shraddha, there is a step which is getting the mercy and association of pure devotees and hearing from them. This is actually what starts spirituality. And if you actually read chapter 13, verse 26, it says that materialistic people, if they simply hear and follow the instructions of a pure devotee, then they start their process of bhakti. So it's not that this is a hindrance. Yes, of course, if you have devotees' qualities, you will fast forward your spirituality, but it is not a hindrance. Mercy and association of pure devotee is what starts your bhakti. Bhakti starts from bhakti. And by you going for book distribution, you are representing a pure devotee, even if you don't have a living spiritual master. You are representing Srila Prabhupada as a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada's instruction is to preach. So you are giving, or even if you are just showing the book, even if that materialistic person just holds the book for a moment, say, let me see what this is, and gives it back to you, his spirituality has started. At some point of time, he will come to his senses and do engage in more of spirituality. Okay?
Ji Prabhuji, so basically, since we are not pure devotees, we cannot, non-devotees cannot hear from us to get drawn into spirituality.
You are representing a pure devotee, and you are just an instrument in the hands of Krishna and the pure devotee. So Krishna has said in, should be 11.32 or 33, Krishna says, Nimitta Matram, that you, Arjuna, or you, Savyasachi, the word is Savyasachi used there, that you can just be an instrument in my mission. So when we go out on book distribution, we are not distributing books. We are just instruments in hands of Krishna. Okay?
Ji Prabhuji, that helps. Thank you so much.
Rest of you? All right. So we'll follow the same process for chapter 2. Matan Prabhu has a question.
So for chapter 1 lesson, the lesson we learn is that hearing is more important than seeing.
You are correct. That Pratyaksha Praman causes illusion because of my imperfect senses. Therefore, I have to use scripture as my intelligence. Whatever we see and hear, we have to correlate with scriptures. Therefore, Shastra Chakshu, that we have to see through the eyes of scripture, that what I'm seeing, does that make sense or not? Matan Prabhu?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So we'll follow the same process for chapter 2, where I will give a quick overview of chapter 2. Then we will read the translations of chapter 2. And then we'll read chapter 2 translation section by section. And then Shivangi is going to do chapter 2 presentation, and then I will also give a quick overview of chapter 2. So chapter 2 is titled Contents of Gita Summarized. In Sanskrit is Sankhya Yoga. Chapter 2 is divided into 5 sections. Section 1, verses 1 to 10, Arjuna's further doubts and surrender. Arjuna gives indecision as the 5th reason to not fight. Section 2 is verses 11 to 30, Jnana -fight. Here Krishna counters Arjuna's compassionate argument. As soul is eternal, compassion for temporary body is ignorance. Section 3 is verses 31 to 38, Karma Kanda -fight. Here Krishna counters Arjuna's loss of enjoyment argument. Karma Kanda is the first application of Atmagyan, meaning you are not body but soul. Then how do you live in the world? By doing your prescribed duties, you will enjoy. Section 4 is verses 39 to 53, Nishkam Karma Yoga -5. Nishkam Karma Yoga is the second application of Atmagyan. And section 5 is verses 54 to 72, characteristics of Sthita Prajna, fixed in Krishna consciousness -fight. So we'll now read chapter 2 translations. Nitya will read chapter 2, section 1, verses 1 to 10, translation, Arjuna's further doubts and surrender.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Text 1, Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words. Text 2, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. Text 3, O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of the heart, and arise, O chapkeeper of the army. Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counteract with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship? Text 5. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of the great souls for my teachers. Even though desiring worldly things, they are superior. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Text 6. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Text 7. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of my miserly weakness. In this condition I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Text 8. I can find no means to dispel away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like that of the demigods in heaven. Text 9. Sanjaya said, having spoken thrice, Arjuna, chastiser of the enemy, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. Text 10. O descendant of Bharata, at the time Krishna, smiling in the midst of the body of both armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna.
Section 2, Janisha will be reading. Section 2 is verses 11 to 30, Jnana -fight. Janisha.
Section 2, Prabhuji's chapter 2, which text?
Yeah, chapter 2, 11 to 30.
11 to 30. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
While speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Text 12. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Text 13. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at the death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Text 14. O son of Kunti, the non permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearances in due course are like the appearances and disappearances of winter and summer season. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Text 15. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for the liberation. Text 16. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Text 17. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Text 18. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. Text 19. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it is slain is in knowledge, for the self slays not nor in slain. Text 20. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Text 21. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? 22. As a person puts on a new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Text 23. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. Text 24. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Text 25. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. 26. If, however, you think that the soul, or the symptom of life, will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. Text 27. One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. Text 28. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So, what need is there for the lamentation? Text 29. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Text 30. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need to not grieve for any living being. Hare Krishna.
Now, Parth Prabhu will read Section 3, verses 31 to 38, title is Karma Kanda -fight. Path Prabhu. Path Prabhu, are you able to unmute? Gauri, 31 to 38 translations.
Text 31. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. Text 32. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. Text 33. However, if you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for the neglecting of your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. Text 34. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. Text 35. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Text 36. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? Text 37. O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. Text 38. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting, without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin.
Now, section 4, Malti will read the first half. Section 4 is verses 39 to 53, Nishkam Karma Yoga. And this section 4 is split in two parts. 39 to 46, Karma Yoga description is given. And then 47 to 53, how to practice Karma Yoga is described. So Malti will read 39 to 46.
Hare Krishna. Text 39. Thus far I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of knowing without fruitive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of work. Text 40. In this endeavor, there is no loss of diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Text 41. Those who are in this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched. Text 42, 43. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery word of the Vedas, which is recommend various fruitive activities for relevation to heavenly planets, resultant to good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. Text 44. In this, in the mind of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. 45. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become the transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Text 46. All purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. Text
All right.
40.
So second half of Nishkam Karma Yoga, which is 47 to 53, Vimal Prabhu will read. So 47 to 53 is how to practice Nishkam Karma Yoga. Vimal Prabhu, 47 to 53.
Hare Krishna, text 47. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to this fruit of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the result of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. Text 28. Perform your duty equipped, O Arjuna, abandoning all attachment to success or failure. Such equanimity is called yoga. Text 49. O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities for distance by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misery. Text 50. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reactions even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all works. Text 51. By thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead. Text 52. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusions, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. Text 53. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery languages of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in trance of self realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Mm. Section 5 is verses 54 to 72. Matan Prabhu and Mayank Prabhu will read half and half. Section 5 is titled Characteristics of Sthita Prajna, fixed in Krishna consciousness. That's 5. So Matan Prabhu will read 54 to 57, and then Mayank Prabhu 58 to end of the chapter.
Hare Krishna, 54, verse 54, text 54. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? And how does he walk? Text 55. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in the pure transcendental consciousness. Text 56. One who is not disturbed in mind even amidst the threefold miseries, or elevated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. Text 57. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither prizing it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Text
Mayank Prabhu, 58 to end of chapter.
Hare Krishna. Text 58. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. 59. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. 60. The senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me is known as a man of steady intelligence. Text 62. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. 63. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. 64. But a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. 65. For one thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. 66. One who is not connected with the Supreme Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? 67. As a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. 68. Therefore, O mighty armed, one whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence. 69. What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. Text 70. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. Text 70. Text 71. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship, and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. Text 72. That is the way of the spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of that, one can enter into the kingdom of God. Hare Krishna.
All right. Shivangi will now do the presentation.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, seeking permission from all of you, Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru Parampara, as well as Sri Radha Krishna to offer this summary. Please forgive me for my shortcomings and mistakes. The first section of this chapter 2 speaks about Arjuna's doubts and surrender. Here he states indecision as the fifth reason not to fight in the war. Essentially, Arjuna has three courses of action. He could either win the fight, but he could not enjoy because his family would be dead, or he could lose his life, or he could choose not to fight, but then he would be seen as a beggar, and that would be seen as being disgraceful because you'd have to live as a beggar. This brings us to the learning in this section. Intelligence means to know what to do when you don't know what to do. For a contaminated, conditioned soul, the intelligence comes in the form of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Arjuna surrenders unto Krishna at 2.7, verse 2.7 as his disciple, inquiring what his best course of action is in the long run. He asks Krishna to please instruct him. From this, we can learn that being self-aware of our weaknesses means we can approach a spiritual master and surrender to them as their disciple. Arjuna's problem is on an emotional level, while winning the war is at the physical level. Hence, winning the war would not solve his emotional problem. The second section of the chapter speaks about Jnana. This is where Krishna tells Arjuna to fight because there is no death for the soul. Compassion for the temporary material body is ignorance because the soul is eternal and we are not paying attention to the well-being of the soul. As souls, we are eternally individuals. We always were, always are, and we always will be. Verse 2.13 is Krishna's first instruction in the Gita. A sober person or a realized person is not affected by the soul's changing of different bodies. It's just like a person changing their dress. The person always stays the same, but the dress is what is changing. The soul is neither born nor does it die. As conditioned souls, we have at least 8.4 million inclinations to enjoy, and based on these desires, we accordingly accept various bodily forms. The third section speaks about Karma Kanda. It is the first application of Atmagyan, and it is Krishna's response to Arjuna's argument not to fight because he could not enjoy victory that is tainted with blood, and it's the Lord's counter-argument. The mind is what has been dragging the conditioned soul life after life in the material world. To calm down the agitated mind, one must chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and this is the recommended process. One must do their prescribed duties without attachment to enjoying that duty or the result of that work. Acting for one's own sense enjoyment incurs reactions and an accumulation of karma. The first step to come out of the body concept of life is karma kanda. Karma kanda provides material enjoyment at the dharmic level. This stage also leads to gradual progression on the Krishna conscious path. The fourth section is about Nishkam Karma Yoga, which is the second and higher application of Atmajnana. This section speaks about activities that will bring no reaction if one does their duty being unattached. Bhakti Yoga is also known as Buddhi Yoga, and these terms are sometimes interchangeably used because Buddhi means to see things in their proper perspective. The enjoying mentality is directly contradictory to the service attitude, or the rendering service attitude. Therefore, one must avoid thinking of material opulences that will pull them deeper into the enjoying mentality. This will make it difficult to revive the dormant Krishna conscious service attitude of the soul. One must become an observer of their inner world. Fill the mind with the Lord's presence, who is like the sun. Then the darkness of negative thoughts, emotions, and feelings cannot abduct one's mind or consciousness, because there is no question of darkness existing when there is light. Verse 2.47 teaches us something very important. One has a right to do their prescribed duty, but one does not have a right to enjoy the results of that work. Never at any time should one consider oneself to be the cause of the results of their work, and one should never be attached to not doing their prescribed duty. It is the soul's sincerity, intentions, and endeavor which please the Lord, not the results. Once one becomes equipoised, then one can distinguish if they are working on the material or spiritual platforms. Discrimination is the art of work, and yoga is the art of working. One must try to be equipoised, and detachment will be the natural byproduct. Neither pain or pleasure will matter, because they are temporary agitations, and one will gradually learn to stay even amidst all of them. Karma is the activity of sense gratification, whereas karma yoga means doing day-to-day activities as a service to the Lord, or doing them while remembering Him. Our prescribed duty is that honorable material world duty which allows us to do our material duties, our spiritual duties. When the intelligence is firmly fixed on the Lord, then the constant waves of agitations and material desires will not affect the person. The fifth and final section of the chapter speaks about the characteristics of the Sthita Prajna, the person who is fixed in Krishna consciousness, and this is Krishna's response on why Arjuna should fight. Arjuna asks Krishna what the symptoms are of one who is firmly fixed, situated in Krishna consciousness. That person is always looking inwards, being calmly and firmly focused on the Lord. He is peaceful and undisturbed. Because he is always looking inwards, he rejects and is unaffected by agitations and temptations which arise in the mind. Text 2.54 is also an important verse. The Sthita Prajna is always equipoised. He remains undisturbed and unaffected in both happiness and distress because his focus is always on the Lord. The Sthita Prajna perceives so-called happy and distressful circumstances, but he does not react to those circumstances and does not become dominated by them. Devotees also do not become agitated when they face miserable situations because they know that it is a result of their past karma and that the Lord has minimized the effects of their bad reactions due to his compassionate nature. The senses are like venomous serpents, always dragging the soul into the darkness of the womb of misery. Because the senses react at even the slightest agitation, the Sthita Prajna uses the senses like a tortoise uses his limbs. When not required, he retracts the senses like the tortoise retracts his limbs back into his shell. Drawing the senses inwards is a form of protection against sense enjoyment. Text 2.62 is also an important verse. There is a constant internal conflict of desiring something, and those desires remaining always unfulfilled makes one weary. The solution is to be cautious of the triggers which disturb the mind. We must simply learn to move on from the things that we know will cause endless mental agitations and will take the focus away from spirituality. Automatically engaging the body, mind, and senses in devotional services will slowly and gradually reduce the cravings for sense enjoyment, whereas artificially restricting the senses from sense enjoyment will not work. Because the mind is very obstinate, in the beginning one may always be oscillating between materialism and spiritualism like a pendulum, but gradually these oscillations will reduce until one becomes firmly fixed in transcendence. The mind can become steady only once it is free of all desires and anarthas, and becoming desireless means only focusing on fulfilling the Lord's desires. We cannot stop thoughts from entering the mind. To get bad thoughts is not wrong, but we need to learn how to deploy our intelligence to kill the bad thoughts before they can become bad actions. We have also learned about the fall down sequence in verses 2.62 and 2.63, which is basically a step-by-step process showing how one falls down into material existence. It all begins when one contemplates the objects of the senses, and while it is possible to stop at any stage in the fall down sequence, it is easiest to stop at the first stage, contemplating the objects of the senses. One way in which a person can do this is to become an observer of their inner world or their mind. Then they can recognize when they are contemplating enjoyment and the objects of their senses. Anger arises due to unsatisfied lust, which arises from attachments to our sense objects, which arises from contemplating how to enjoy them. One must redirect anger from the sense objects to the source of the desires or their triggers. One key takeaway is that one should avoid becoming frustrated and should just calmly and peacefully keep trying to follow the process and know that God is in everyone's heart, always ready to guide them in the right direction. The four regulative principles are actually regulative principles of freedom, because we're essentially trying to come out of the I, me, and my consciousness and revive the dormant Krishna consciousness of the soul. False ego is a wrongful assumption of thinking oneself to be the enjoyer, proprietor, controller, and doer. Internal peace comes only when the mind and intelligence are fully focused on the Lord. The Lord is also known as Rishikesha, the owner of all the senses, even one's own senses, so it only makes natural sense that one's senses be engaged in his service. The mind is also like an ocean. The goal is to make it a calm and still ocean by not reacting to various thoughts and desires that arise, like constant streams of rivers flowing inside. Rather, one must divert the attention and focus towards the Lord. And one last point would be that internal peace comes not by indulgence, but by transcendence. And that concludes the summary of chapter 2. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Super excellent. Any questions, comments, realizations for Shivangi?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Pragya and Shivangi, both of them have presented so well, because this is the first time we are presenting whole chapter. Both of them have done very awesome job. I'm so proud of them. Oh my God.
Very good. Annapurni?
Hare Krishna, I'm just blown away with the presentations and the command over the knowledge. It's so uplifting, and I have so much to learn from everyone here. Thank you
Very
so
good.
much.
Very good. You will
Hare
also be
Krishna.
doing the presentations and you will also be coming to the same level. All right. Shivangi has already done a spectacular presentation exactly like Pragya. And in essence, I don't really need to do chapter 2 presentation, but since we agreed, so I will also do chapter 2 presentation, which will largely be a repeat of what Shivangi said, exactly what was a repeat for what Pragya said earlier. So chapter 2 is titled Contents of Gita Summarized. Chapter 1 focus was Arjuna's qualities, such as Arjuna is thoughtful, saintly, compassionate, plus the need for scriptural guidance. Chapter 2 focus is Sankhya, analytical study. Means focus is on the point that bodily emotions are illusory. Therefore, chapter 2 in Sanskrit is titled Sankhya Yoga. Arjuna is indecisive. Arjuna gives indecision as the fifth reason to not fight. Arjuna's options are first to fight. If Arjuna wins, he cannot enjoy because win is tainted with killing friends and relatives. And if Arjuna loses, then Arjuna dies. And Arjuna's third option is not to fight. Then Arjuna will have to live by begging, which is disgraceful for a Kshatriya. So Arjuna was also thinking about his duty as a Kshatriya, and Arjuna thinks that all options, fight or not fight, are lose, lose, lose options. Hence, Arjuna surrenders to Krishna in 2.7 and inquires, what is best in the long run? Please instruct me. 2.7 he says, Karpanya dosha upahata sabhava prachami tvam dharma samuta chetasha yat shreyasya nishchitam bruvi tanme shishyase teham sadi mam tvam prapanam. When one thinks, I don't know what to do, is the beginning of intelligence. Intelligence means to know what to do when I don't know what to do. When I don't know, I have to seek help from the Supreme Lord. And in the material world, we have to seek help from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. At no point in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked Krishna how to fight or how to win this battle. Rather, Arjuna is asking, what is Shreyas? What is best in the long run for the soul? Even before Krishna teaches his first instruction about soul, in 2.12, Krishna emphasizes the eternality of personality and eternality of individuality, that all of us are eternal persons. Thus, Krishna refutes the Mayavad philosophy. Krishna, with his first instruction in 2.13, that you are not this body, but you are a soul, Krishna counters Arjuna's chapter 1 compassionate as the reason to not fight. 2.13, Krishna says, Dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tata dehantra prapti dheras tatra namuyati. Because soul is eternal, compassion for the temporary body is ignorance. The verse 2.13 refers to the word sober. Sober means one who is not intoxicated. So what is this not intoxication referring to? The intoxication being referred to that my bodily concept of life is my intoxication. Then the various qualities of soul are described. Soul is described as 1/10,000 of a tip of a hair. Soul cannot be killed. There are many qualities described. Krishna counters Arjuna's loss of enjoyment argument to not fight with the first application of Atma Gyan, which is Karma Kanda. Krishna says, you are not body, you are a soul, then live as a soul in this world. If I come to know I am not this body, does not mean I will stop acting at bodily level. I still have to act because I am still in the material world. So how do I act in life? Hence Krishna explains how to live in material world in a dharmic way, following scriptures, meaning doing your duty according to scriptures. Karma Kanda provides material enjoyment at a dharmic level. Sense enjoyment is regulated. Otherwise, one is lower like in an animal life. The first step to get out of bodily concept of life is Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda leads to gradual elevation. Arjuna was thinking lose-lose situation. But Krishna is showing win-win-win situation. Krishna says, if you don't fight, you will not be able to enjoy. Plus, Arjuna will incur sin if Arjuna does not fight. Krishna says, if enjoyment is your concern, then fighting is your best option. Meaning, doing your duty is your best option. If Arjuna is killed, Arjuna will attain heaven. Or if Arjuna wins the battle, then Arjuna will enjoy kingdom on earth. Krishna counters Arjuna's sinful reaction argument to not fight with the second application of Atmagyan. If you know you are a soul, then you should focus on going beyond material existence to eternal spiritual existence. Krishna says, if you do Nishkam Karma Yoga, then your activity will bring no reaction. 2.47 is the Nishkam Karma Yoga verse. Karmani eva adhikaraste ma paleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhur ma te sango astu akarmani. That you have the right to perform your duty. You do not have right to results. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results and never be attached to not doing your duty. So Nishkam Karma Yoga means selfless, no personal desire. You are detached from work. Hence, I should say in Nishkam Karma Yoga, you are detached from fruits of work, not work. Therefore, Krishna says, fight with detachment, then there will be no sinful reaction. At this point, Arjuna is confused. There is no mention of fight in the entire Nishkam Karma Yoga section. Therefore, on hearing about Nishkam Karma Yoga, Arjuna asks 4 questions to know who is this Nishkam Karma Yogi. Arjuna is asking characteristics of such a Nishkam Karma Yogi to know whether such a Nishkam Karma Yogi will fight or not. Therefore, 2.54, Arjuna asks these 4 questions. 2.54, Arjuna says, Arjuna Uvacha Sthita Pragnasya Kabhasha Samadhistasya Keshava Sthitadi Kim Prabhasheta Kim Asita Varajeta Kim. So, first question, Arjuna asks, what are his characteristics? So in response, Krishna will describe the characteristics of Sthita Prajna or the characteristics of Nishkam Karma Yogi. So question 1, what are characteristics of Nishkam Karma Yogi? Answer is, give up external pleasure and be satisfied within by turning mind inwards, meaning desires originating from the mind are to be given up. Inside the body, we have mind and we have soul. Mind is not spiritual. To understand, internal reference point should not be body, but the reference point should be soul. For a soul, both physical body and mind are external. Desires inside in the mind may seem internal, but from the soul's point of view, mind's desires are external. Hence, desires of the mind are to be given up. Hence, Krishna says, look for happiness inside at spiritual level and not at mental level. Second question Arjuna asks, what is the speech of Nishkam Karma Yogi? Answer is, speech is determined by our thoughts. Sthita Prajna or equipoised in happiness and distress. In distress, do not become dejected, and in happiness, don't think of getting more and more desires. Means accept whatever comes on its own course. Happiness generates more desires. And when misery comes, I think, why is this happening to me? But Sthita Prajna is not affected by happiness and distress. Question 3, Arjuna asks, how does the Nishkam Karma Yogi restrain his senses? Answer is, Withdraw the senses like tortoise. Use the senses only when required. Senses are our weak points. I perceive the external world with senses. Therefore, I have to guard my weak senses. The wandering senses take me into a storm. And the fourth question Arjuna asks, how does the Nishkam Karma Yogi engage his senses? The answer Krishna says, restraint alone is not enough. Hence, Krishna says, engage senses in devotional service, meaning simultaneous to controlling senses, positively engage senses in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada explains, yogi is one who can control senses according to a plan, meaning engage senses in Krishna's service. Example, say when you have to talk, devotee only talks about Krishna in Krishna Katha. Other times, other talking, devotee may not talk, meaning you withdraw the sense of talking. If one does not regulate the senses, then fall down from spirituality happens. And therefore, 2.62 is a very important verse for the fall down sequence. Dhyayato vishayam pumsa sangasteshu pajayate. Sangat sanjayate kama, kama krodha abhijayate. Dhyayato means contemplation is the problem. Krishna did not use the word drishtva, meaning seeing. No, seeing is not the problem. Simply by contemplation, that let me just consider this enjoying proposition that generates, that activates the fall down sequence. Yes, we can of course come out of the fall down sequence at any of the 8 stages described in these verses, but the lower you go, the difficult it is. You have to come out before even you start the dhyato, or at any of the stage with strong determination. At initial stages of spiritual life, I cannot just trust my intelligence. I have to do regular scriptural study to develop higher taste of spirituality. Scriptures are my intelligence. Senses are always going to wander. But if I let my mind fix on senses, that becomes the problem. Dhyayato, imagination is the problem, not seeing. When mind becomes focused on senses, then mind drags intelligence away. So the solution is, don't let there be a hole or empty space in the mind, but make a hill in the mind filled with Krishna, Krishna conscious activities, studying scriptures, doing japa, doing devotional services, because Maya enters through a small hole and expands like a foam. That's a quick summary of chapter 2. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have a realization.
Mhm.
So the pain is in everyone's life. It's devotee or non-devotee.
Mhm.
So my realization is it is a different. The devotee learn how to take the pain in a correct way, and the non-devotee how to complain on others for their own pain. So
Very
that
good.
is my realization. And I have one question, Prabhuji.
Yeah, let me first, correct point. So very good realization that yes, material world is a place of suffering. Everyone has suffering. The devotee learns how to use the suffering to remember Krishna. This is described at great length in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, verse number 25 in Kunti Maharani prayers, as well as in Canto 1, Chapter 17 and 18, Dharma has explained this same point, that use the miseries of the material world to remember Krishna more and more. Very good. Archana, continue.
So my question, Prabhuji, is this verse 2.13. So now we have to come in a soul level. So how do we remind ourselves on a daily basis that I'm not this body, I'm a soul? So we have to keep saying that I'm a soul, I'm a soul, I'm not this body. Or
Yeah.
means
Yeah, reminding means you live like a soul. To live like a soul means you do devotional service 24 hours. So you do japa most of the time, or at least 16 rounds for at least for those who are initiated. Rest of you also can do at least 16 rounds. You do devotional services. You dovetail your day-to-day activities in Krishna consciousness. So I have given just at yesterday's batch 6 and 7 class about how to make 24-hour day Krishna conscious. I gave a laundry list of items, and all of you from other batches have also heard that wake up at verse time, remember or recite the verse, or when you are driving, look at number plate and correlate with verse and recite and remember verse. Workplace, dovetail. So everything is to dovetail. We are taking shower, memorize and revise verses. So you are dovetailing. You are not separating yourself that, okay, weekend I will do spirituality, Monday to Fridays material world. No. All 7 days, 365 days and 24 hours, you dovetail everything in remembrance of Krishna and as a service. That you have to, initially, maybe you have to do it by force, but then you have to come to the point where it becomes second nature. No, I'm doing everything for Krishna's pleasure. And then you will do everything according to scriptures. Archana, does that help?
yes, Prabhuji, yeah. Haribol.
Very good. Nitya?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, two questions. Less on the practical level, just clarification. Here it is Buddhi Yoga interchangeably used with both Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. That was the question.
Yeah, so let me answer. Yeah, so you are correct. All three words, meaning Bhakti Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, and Karma Yoga, are used interchangeably, at least in chapter 2, all to refer to the highest level of Bhakti Yoga. So Karma Yoga is not normal day-to-day activities, but here Karma Yoga, Krishna is referring to Arjuna serving Krishna in the fight. Therefore, Arjuna's Karma Yoga is at the highest level of Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga means you are using your intelligence to Bhakti, what Shivangi correctly described in her presentation.
Prabhu, clarification. So Karma Yoga itself is karma in relation, work in relation to Lord, God. So as you said, yes, it's the beginning step of Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga.
So yes, there will be a straddling phase that, say, if you are at Nishkam Karma Yoga, it's you are standing at the doorstep. Nishkam Karma Yoga on itself is not Bhakti Yoga, but you are right at the doorstep. So yes, there will be a progression until you reach to the pure Bhakti level.
Thank you, Prabhu. I just wanted to share one realization as I was reading the qualities of the soul. Just a comparison, the science of Bhagavad Gita and medical science. It is believed, definitely medical science confirms that the heart is the source of the energy. When the heart stops, then, everything stops. So here it is, the soul actually, the sitting place is in the heart. Medical science still hasn't figured out any of where it is. So that was, something I thought as I was reading. The second thing, which is more technical, in purport 17, I believe, it talks about the soul being surrounded by 5 kinds of material air. And when the material air, the contaminated air is, removed, then the spirit soul actually becomes spiritual. So can you just elaborate on this?
So it's not about just the air contaminant, it's the desires that cause the contamination of our consciousness, that I want to enjoy everything that I see around in the material world. So it's those desires that contaminate my consciousness. Therefore, instead of my original Swarupa of serving the eternal Master Krishna, I am in my contaminated state serving my body, my senses, my family, my nation, or worst case, my pet dog or cat. Nitya?
Thank you, Prabhu. It does mention Hatha Yoga, a system that helps to control these 5 kinds of air to remove the contamination.
Yeah, so the Hatha Yoga, Prabhupada is described in 6.46, 6.47 purport, where Prabhupada said that all these other processes, yes, you can use them to help you. So you can use Hatha Yoga, which is basically bodily exercise, can use the bodily exercise to regulate whatever you have to, or to even become a little stronger in your bodily abilities. That's okay, as long as you then use everything in Krishna's service. But Hatha Yoga on itself is not spiritual yoga. Hatha Yoga is mainly body related. Yes, you can use. Nothing wrong in using Hatha Yoga to keep the body fit. Srila Prabhupada has described that keep this useless body fit. Yes, Prabhupada says useless body fit so that you can do devotional service. It's the best use of the bad bargain. Therefore, keep your body fit just about enough to use in Krishna's service, not for becoming a bodybuilder. Nitya?
Thank you, Prabhu.
All right, rest of you. So I want all of you to pause here and think and reflect. That at least those of you who are attending the revision sessions for the first time and the presentations for the first time, I want you to reflect on Pragya and Shivangi doing a spectacular presentation in terms of how they were talking. They were confident in their talking because they have understood the subject matter. So those of you who have not yet done the presentations from the other batches, you will also be doing these presentations, and you will also come to the same level just as Pragya and Shivangi today, and rest of the devotees also, they will be doing presentations, you will see. So you will notice that how they were doing the presentation is not just talking in a mono language or a mono speed. No, they were going in that high and low tone to emphasize a particular point and to keep you occupied or to keep you interested to what they were talking. And specifically Shivangi was also correlating her learnings from the Bhagavatam, other batches that she studies. She was also linking the teachings from the other scriptures while she's doing chapter 2 presentation. And that is spectacular. So our intent is that come to the understanding of Bhagavad Gita in such a concise manner that Bhagavad Gita is engraved in your consciousness. That no matter somebody stops you on the road, you should be able to speak the essence of a particular topic in few minutes, in few words. That's exactly what the role of a preacher is. That have this Bhagavad Gita engraved in you, and the subsections and the sections that we have for each chapter, which the acharyas have done for us. This helps you narrow down the essence of a particular set of verses. Yes, in our classes, we are discussing verse by verse by verse. That is important to understand the basics. And then you talk about the essence. So those of you who are here for the first time, you saw how Pragya and Shivangi, they did not really go verse by verse or section by section by section. They were just naturally flowing through in their conversation as to what the chapter was talking, one section after the other. Everybody notice this? Everybody can learn this skill?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
I want to hear from those who are for the first time here.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I would love to, Prabhuji. I'm just wondering how it's going to happen.
So you will all learn. So basically what you do is you, when you will be ready for presentations, you will listen to the presentations of the previous devotees such as Pragya and Shivangi today for chapters 1 and 2. And then you will do the same presentation. Yes, in batch 6 and 7, this exercise has not yet happened. It will come up in chapter 18 discussion. So this is an early learning for you all. Just listen to the previous recording, and the same revisions have also happened in previous batches. If at all any one of you is interested to do any of these presentations, by all means, just get the recording of the previous batches and just learn how to do the presentation, and you are welcome to do the presentation. So for batch 6 and 7 devotees, up to about chapter 10 is what will coincide between your classes and till mid July in these revisions. It will coincide. So you can pick, say chapter 10 could be straddling, but definitely up to chapter 9, you can consider to do the same presentation as an additional presentation. So we have a schedule. I will bring up on screen. We have a schedule for devotees who are lined up for each of these presentations. Doesn't matter. If you are wanting to do presentations, you are welcome to do an additional presentation for whatever chapters you feel, or even a portion of a chapter as a start. So all these devotees who are doing presentations now for the whole chapter, they first started by doing presentation for one section only, not the whole chapter. Now they have done these presentations multiple times that they are now able to do this whole chapter presentation very nicely. Annapurni?
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's a lot of it is your effort and direction too. You have poured a lot of, your time and wisdom to everybody, and very grateful. Thank you so much.
All glories are always for
Hare
Guru
Krishna.
Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. All glories are always for the spectacular endeavor from all devotees. Yeah, I can repeat what acharyas have said, but it's devotees' endeavor. All right. Rest of you, those who are for the first time here. Many of you are for the first time. I want to hear from you, your experience on these presentations. Hare Krishna, somebody? Hare Krishna, all those new devotees joining for the first time, any realization, questions? So I did say time permitting, I will answer inquiries, but we are very close to 9 a.m. Toronto time. So I will not answer inquiries today. I will try to answer at one or more of subsequent classes. I can just give you the striking points from the previous class of the devotees from batch 3 and 4 Bhagavatam class. So you only have one slide for the striking points. So take a snapshot. This is Srimad Bhagavatam class for batch 3 and 4 striking points. And the inquiries I will answer later on.
Hare Krishna. I have a question.
Yeah.
So the lesson learned from chapter 2 is that you are not this body, you are spirit soul. Is that the lesson?
You are correct. And then the next is first application of Atmagyan is described as Karma Kanda. So Karma Kanda is step 1 to get out of the bodily concepts. So first, yes, Jnana is given that you are not this body, you are soul. And to get out of that bodily concept, first is Karma Kanda, that you live according to scriptures. And then once you know you are a soul, then don't just get stuck in material world living the Karma Kanda way. Go to the next step of Nishkam Karma Yoga, live with detachment. And then you can come to Sthita Prajna level, means you can be steady in Krishna consciousness. So yes, step 1 is described, yes, you are not this body, you are soul. But then the first application as Karma Kanda, next application as Nishkam Karma Yoga, and then coming to Sthita Prajna level is also described. Matan Prabhu?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, thank you.
Rest of you, questions, comments, realizations? So next week, Vimal Prabhu is going to present chapter 3 and Abhishek Prabhu chapter 4. So all of you should come prepared with chapters 3 and 4. This is a revision for everyone. So that it is beneficial for everyone, not just for the presenters. And if the presenters, for whatever reason, they are not able to join virtually, then they can either record or one of you can just pick up and do the presentation on their behalf. We are just about at 9 o'clock Toronto time. We okay to stop here?
Ji Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna,
Hare
thank you everyone. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna. Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, everyone. Thank you.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.